There is no place in the world to hide a creative genius, and a trip up Paris Hill in St. Joseph bears living testimony to this. From a mini park dedicated to the life of Burton Burke Mayers, to interesting billboards built into the side of the cliff, to the creative genius of Chris Chandler. It's all there to see and enjoy. When you look at the rock face along here, you see images, you see animals, they call you and you create them as you go along?
Yeah, well, I try not to look too much because it gets cloudy, but that's how it works. You look at the rock, you let the rock do the talking. It's not that you're forcing something onto the stone. You would look at the rock and let it decide. Study it. Try to figure it out. See what it's telling you. What possibly you could find there. I might see something, you might see something different. But that's basically the method you use, concentrating.
But it's not just animals. There's a story in here, and you tell the story as we go along.
Yeah.
So tell us the story of the formations along the rock here.
Boy, where to start? I don't know if you have enough time to tell the whole thing. But basically, the animals with the lion and the mouse is an Aesop's fable, which has a moral to it. It's about education. It's not just like, say, one of the other statues you might look at and figure out what is happening. This, you have to think a little bit. The lion and the mouse, I won't tell you what it is. That's the education part of it. Get a book and read. But basically that has morals to it. The animals, these particular ones, the elephants, and all the others, the 15 that they are, go back to the song by the Trade Winds, Jungle Cricket, or Cricket in the Jungle, which I've been dreaming about since I was a little boy. It's one of my favorite things, and I've been able to actually create it now.
Big crowd assembled. Donkey say me fuss, I batting. You know I love me cricket. Crapo sit down behind the stumps. He say, alright, I keep it wicked.
I've been able to actually create it now. And that's based on that song. It's ball number 2. The song is based on ball number 1. And it's a continuation of that song. Also, giving a Caribbean unity theme to it, an educational theme for the children. They can see the animals, see what they're pretty real in relation to size and everything. And, you know, with cricket around as well, that's another great aspect to have it going.
How long did it take you to do this entire project?
This particular one, these 15 would have been about a year, just under a year. And that time would have been spent pretty hard, solid work. I did not work on this alone. This would have been a whole lot to work on alone. I got assistance from the community as well. One of my main assistants was Buzz.
You knew this piece of rock before these animals went up here, Buzz?
Yeah.
And then you actually worked with Chris to bring out the shapes?
Yeah.
Did he tell you what shape he wanted to make when you were working on it?
Yeah, he was telling me, well, here need a little more building up, here need a little more. I just does what he said.
You follow his instructions and you did all this?
Yeah.
You like doing this stuff?
Yeah, I love this work.
This is good work. When people pass along and they see this, you say, this is my handiwork, I did this.
Well, I said, Chris Chandler is the artist, and I'm just the mole man.
Buzz is just being honest, right? Buzz had a lot to do with it. I think through also I tried to show him most of the techniques and stuff as well. If you ask him again, he might be able to tell you he thinks he should be able to do these himself now, right? Look at him nodding, right? So that's it. It's also to try to give the other guys, everybody been able to see the whole process. So it's also to teach Buzz and stuff as well. A little bit more, which is that I can't force people to do the work. I can only, show as best I can. So educational aspect for me is a very strong part of my work, always.
When we look at the natural formations, Chris, we see rocks that are jutting out, we see sharp points, etc. When we look at the animals, there's a smooth finish, there's a texture to the body, yes, the cuts. That was a lot of work for you? How did you do
because
that?
Most people look at the work and think of it as a mural. A mural is a flat surface, right? This work is basically you're working in the natural form. That doesn't mean you don't have to work. The rock helps you. That doesn't mean it's easy either. The rock is going to help you, but you have to carve out what you don't want. Then in some areas you have to put in what you do want. But when in the end you don't ever take out too much or put in too much, that's another thing with the work I want to maintain. And everything we take out goes back into building the sidewalk, so nothing is wasted, which goes back to the recycle routes.
Speaking of the adding on and everything else, the hippo's mouth is one of the intriguing ones for me. Was this originally the shape of the rock, or did you do some work here, Chris?
Yeah, well, as I said, mostly you work with the form. You never take out too much or put in too much. The hippo's mouth naturally would have come from about halfway through. That would have come about there. So it would just been this little end you would have added on. This depth was pretty much here. You would have taken out just a little bit. So as I said, all this other stuff, the natural form, pretty much stays It wasn't that much added. The teeth they're made of wood. That's basically wood to get that effect. The elephant's head is another thing that part was added as well, whereas his ear actually was suspended. So you work like that. The rock gives a little, then it makes you work a little.
Tail on the monkey. Another add-on, or was that originally there?
Well, these hanging things are like my favorite. The elephant's tail, this colorless monkey, he wasn't even supposed to be in there, but it was just begging to come out. This is suspended. This is actually, it's a type of very industrial strength rubber, and that's molded in as well to give the tail effect, like the hippo is saying, well, get your tail out of my face kind of thing. Or the toad, yeah, we're better known as the crapo in the Caribbean. If you go back to the song once again, you remember the crapo decided he was keeping wickets, but after that first boy with the elephant, he decided he's going to be going as far away from the wickets as possible. So, but he's still in the program. He's still able to work. The song also tells you about a kangaroo. Well, he had enough of that, and that's the story of how kangaroos got to Australia.
The other interesting thing, Chris, is that cricket is a spectator sport, and there is room here for the spectators as well.
Yeah, well, since the very first painting, the very first one which was done, everybody knows the lions, done by Winfield Blanche, by the way. They have been seats. There was a seat place there. There have been seats up here for the guys to be able to sit down, but that seat only works on the afternoon. Through here now, this gives them a chance to be able to chill out on the morning, hang out, relax, you know, usual Barbadian thing. And then again, it's back along with the green in Barbados theme. It's just here we're greening with cement rather than actually. But yeah, the guys get to relax and hang out. It's made for that purpose as well. But after 1 o'clock, that becomes a little. The sun comes over.
Well protected by King Cobra?
Oh yeah, they don't have to worry about that. I think the guys be pretty safe sitting here. Some of the kids have a problem with it though, but otherwise everybody seems pretty comfortable with this stuff.
The other thing you mentioned prior to the start of this conversation was the fact that when it rains, the formation would allow the water to naturally trickle down in some rather strange places at times.
Yeah. Well, the main one we found was from the day one with the giraffe. I realized when we started working, we were working in the rainy season then. You know, I told Buzz, hey Buzz, check this out. This thing is peeing. Well, urinating to be politically correct, and we worked with it. And yeah, in the rainy season, the kids love it. It really works. You guys got to come out here a day when it's raining and try to get it. But it works. It urinates. The elephant dribbles, right? We've seen that he'll dribble onto the gorilla. All the waterfalls, because there's 3, they're all functional. But only during the rainy season. They all will work with the natural flow of the water.
One of the other interesting things you mentioned prior to the start of this again, and I want to bring it back, is because you've put the stumps, cricket in the jungle, sometimes it brings out a strange reaction from people who come by. There was a guy who came by with a cricket bat.
Oh yes, it's just last weekend. This tourist guy, I mean, some strange things have happened up here, but this is one of the strangest. He comes through at Island Safari on one of their tours, and they stop. This guy is, there it is, English guy, right? Jumps out the truck, which I don't think they usually jump out the truck. And the guy has a cricket bat with him. And he comes and he jumps out, he poses off in front, and the bat is stained up with all these players and stuff. He poses off in front and he stops, okay, get the shot. Gets it, jumps back in, they're gone. You know, and there are a lot of stories like that with people. Some people spending their whole last day in the island just to try to get a picture, you know. So there are a lot of very interesting stories about here.
What next? What will happen to this 2 years from now, 3 years from now? Will the colors still be there? Is the feeling that you've generated with the community while working here going to remain? Is this a part of the community now?
I would like to think so, but the work is in cement and it's a natural rock. And I mean, that means it'll be there for a long time. But then again, the paint aspect of it, the wall has been prepared beyond specifications of the manufacturer's request. I mean, you're designing it for that purpose, so it's prepared and protected and everything. But along with me, a lot of the purists, we would have really preferred to leave the work, say, as grey, to let the rock, you know, show its own. But to assist the kids, so that the kids have to give other people, more artistically challenged people, an idea of what's really happening here. And they will pretty much self-maintain themselves. We'll keep cleaning. The only other thing is the dust. The dust, if you want to look at it in a negative way, the dust could be a problem, but I see it as a positive because I see it as the rock basically will reclaim its own. We took it out, so it will be giving it back kind of thing. So if you want to see it clean, you better get here within the next few weeks or so. But we try to maintain it between me and the community as best as possible.
Since we've been here this morning, one of the things I've noticed is that there seems to be a very strong sense of community. The people seem to have gotten accustomed to seeing you here working on this. Difficult to leave them after you're through with this?
And it was an experience. That's why it was a very, because I've never done work like this before, so it was a very interesting experience. Everybody out here has been supportive. I'd like to thank the whole parish, just in Joseph, everybody in Paris Hill, Marquita and her shop, especially for assisting me with keeping stuff and all that. Buzz and the guys, it's been wonderful. Everybody's appreciating the work, and I just feel happy I'm able to do something like this, which the whole country will benefit from as well.
The vision of Chris Chandler, you look at the rock and you see things. You looked over on the other side where it's just bare rock, and you said there's a baby elephant in here waiting to come out.
Yeah.
This is unique in a lot of ways, because I don't think there's anywhere else. You say you've done some research and there's nowhere else where this has been attempted.
No, but this type of work in its type, the magnitude, the particular style and method, is extremely rare. There's work, Gun Hill is one of the examples. It's also very rare. Gun Hill is in Barbados. Another example is a guy in Cuba who I've seen a long time ago, who is an inspiration, but his work is a different type of rock, different type of style. This particular type in the Caribbean, the world, throughout history, it is a very rare form of art. The particular type and technique used here in Paracel on this scale. So it would hold, right now, even right now, it would have to hold an international level or status with the volume of work. The other side for sure would carry it into the universe.
What else? What other rock has been calling Chris for a special touch?
Well, not particularly rock. Some communities been calling Chris for a special touch, but there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work. It scares me actually to think, because this is my first. This work is still very juvenile. It's very immature, if you want to call it that. It's great, yeah, but I still realize it's young. I just have a long way to go. So it scares me when I start to think what might be lying ahead. Barbados has an awful lot of what I call our most underutilized, undervalued resource, right? And that's not the people, it's the rock, right?
But memorials are important to you, because even along this rock, there is one to your mom.
Yes, to my mother, because, well, I wouldn't be here without her. But to all women as well. There's actually Aquarius is the only female. That was one dedicated to my mother, and to all women to represent them, because everything else up here are male animals.
Chris, pleasure talking to you, and we like the work. Keep on putting your mark on the stone face of Barbados.
I will try to do that as best as I can, and you guys could keep looking out for some more work in the future.